Good afternoon, this is the House Appropriations Committee. It is Thursday, April 24th, 2025 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we are continuing to talk about federal funding at the state level. And we have with us Megan Smeaton, the Financial Director for DCF, and Leslie Wisdom, Food Nutrition Program Director at DCF. Welcome, thank you very much for coming. We're going to talk about SNAP, LIHEAP, and TANF. So we are glad you're here. We have is, you can't see it from where you are probably, is a little spreadsheet that got sent. And I'm going to request that it get resubmitted either as a PowerPoint slide or in landscape, because the way it is written, it's at about 0.05 font and nobody can read it. So that would be very helpful if you wouldn't mind doing that. So if you two would both introduce yourselves and then take it away. Thank you.
Yes, for the record, Megan Smeaton, Financial Director, DCF.
Hello, Leslie Wisdom, the Food and Nutrition Program Director with Economic Services Division.
Thank you.
So I guess I'm not 100% certain what questions you had exactly about SNAP and LIHEAP and TANF, but I guess I could talk through the spreadsheet that I shared. If I can share my screen, I could make it bigger for you.
Oh, sure. If we could share, yeah, that would be great.
Can you see it?
Bigger is better still. You can get a little bigger. Usually in the lower right-hand corner, there's a thing you can make it bigger from.
But you can, it's hard, it's not showing me what I'm showing you, but are you seeing the estimated ESD federal earnings at the top?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm showing you the right thing. Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so just in general, what I'm showing you here is our state fiscal year 24 actual earned revenue for ESD appropriations. We've removed the revenues that were like one-time in nature or things that were left over from the pandemic that we were still earning in last state fiscal year, because those won't be continuing into this year. And so we didn't want to muddy that. And then we've made—
I'm sorry. Tell me what is not continuing. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, it's things like pandemic era funding that was still around at the end of at the beginning of last year, things like that were one time in nature and that we have totally used up the award and it is now in the past. So these are the other change or the other adjustment that we made is we added in the summer EBT. We didn't actually have any summer EBT revenue earned in state fiscal year 24 because the benefits went out in July, which is state fiscal year 25. It's a new program. And so, but we put that in there because it's important to know it's a pretty large program. And then the other line here is because you specifically asked about LIHEAP, I included weatherization LIHEAP as well, even though that's not technically part of ESD, but it is part of LIHEAP. It's the LIHEAP award that we use there. So,
so this is FY24, which is well past us. Where is FY25? How does it compare with FY25 and what you're proposing for 26?
Well, so we are running our federal reports for the third quarter of federal fiscal year or state fiscal year 25 right now. And so we would only have half a year of data to show, which isn't always accurate because there are times of years. The year can come, there can be fluctuations, right? Like we have a lot of benefits that go out in the summer or SNAP, or we have all of our fuel assistance benefits that go out in the fall. And so if we're if I were to show you half a year, you couldn't just double it and assume the second half of the year, right? So we
No,
wanted to.
no, but you could have the FY 25 budgeted amount.
Yes, well, the budgeted amounts are in Vantage. So I could send you that Vantage report.
Okay.
I thought you were asking about actual revenues earned, which is why we.
Well, I know the only one you can do that's actual would be 24, but we are interested in knowing what is also in the budget for FY 26. Because that's what's coming up. Are they significantly different or are the numbers fairly similar?
I mean, I can pull up a Vantage report. My internet's taking a moment. So for example, if I look at 3 square, or I don't know, lie heap maybe. So we have 14.5 million in Vantage for lie heap benefits in 26.
Okay.
We earn 16.1 in 24. So it does fluctuate because sometimes we earn more money in OEO and less in weatherization, OEO weatherization, and less in lie heap. It really, a lot of it is fluctuating, which is why the actuals earned can be more predictive than the budgeted.
And is all of this 100% of the numbers on here, are they all federal funds or is there any state money in this?
Yes, so it's all federal on here. The one thing is here in the GC column, I did apply the average FMAP from last year, which is the percentage that would be the federal funding. So this is all federal in this column. GC is a blended dollar, but it is a federal, but there are some large federal programs where we use GC, of which 56% is federal or whatever, depending on whichever quarter we're in. And as a result, we wanted to make sure that if you're thinking about the federal funds that are in the budget, you're also considering the federal portion of a GC dollar.
Right. Okay. So you have lie heap, you've got 23 million.
Yeah, so we broke it out by the administrative salaries and then the salaries that are driven by the random moment time study, which are our benefit payment specialists. And then, so this shows you by the main federal funding sources in ESD, how much federal funding we're leveraging for salaries. So it's about $10.5 million. Operating, we're at about 1.9 million of federal dollars utilized there. And then the benefits, obviously, our 3 Squares Vermont program is 100% federally funded. So that's a pretty large number. And then we have, oops, I just changed that instead of pressing over. We have the summer EBT program too. We have AABD, which has a large global commitment funding. This is mostly our Lund agreement, as well as our 211 agreement, which are both funded with global commitment investments. And then we have our LIHEAP benefits, which are the other main large component.
Yeah, hello again, Megan, Tiff, Lumi here. I just am looking at TANF numbers and I'm just wondering what this represents of the total reach up. I mean, I'm wondering what falls into this TANF bucket. I'm not tracking it to any of the other documents we looked at on Tuesday. So can you just explain what's in TANF here and how it's used?
Yeah, so most of the benefits in Reach Up are TANF eligible expenses. We did talk or meet on Tuesday, I guess it was, about TANF in general. And so for those people that were not there, TANF has a maintenance of effort requirement. And just a second, my computer's doing funny things. So TANF has maintenance of effort requirement, and so we try to maximize the amount of funding that we are able to claim for our maintenance of effort because that allows us to buy down our work participation rate. One of the ways we do that is by doing a swap where we swap TANF funding with the tax department in exchange for state special fund dollars. And those state special fund dollars then support our state costs. Part of those state costs are most of our Reach Up budget in general is actually state funded now because of that swap. But it basically allows us to claim 8.4 million more in our state maintenance of effort by doing that swap than we would otherwise be able to do. And so it has been helpful in the past, and that's why we have done it. We also have costs in FSD that for staff salaries that are only eligible if they go on the federal column. And so, you know, since staff salaries grow over time or change over time, it's and they're driven by a random moment time study, we've had more had an impact where we're able to earn more state maintenance of effort by earning the federal TANF and FSD and transferring state dollars to Reach Up. And again, these moves can feel like a lot of noise on the ups downs when we're like transferring, swapping funds, and it's all net neutral moves, but it's all in an effort to make sure that we're claiming every dollar of maintenance of effort that we can so that we're ensuring that we're meeting our and exceeding our work participation requirements. And I think Leslie can probably talk more to it than I can, but only the cash out portion of our SNAP program goes through DCF. The rest of it, the federal dollars never flow through our budget. And so there's a very large bucket of money out there that's supporting Vermonters that DCF doesn't ever see in our budget, but it is, you know, important. It provides important benefits to Vermonters.
It goes directly to the Vermonters, doesn't go to the
Yes.
state, so yes, that's the 46 million. So what's up with LIHEAP? Has it been canceled for FY 26?
I don't know what the future holds for LIHEAP. I know that we're all just kind of waiting for more direction at this moment in time.
Did they close the office, federal office?
Yeah, it's my understanding that they've closed down many federal offices across many of our federal awards. I would probably direct you to ESD on the impact for this state fiscal year. It's my understanding that we've already drawn in most of our federal award, and so we're in a better place this state fiscal year. I don't know what the future will hold and what that would look like without seeing a updated budget for LIHEAP.
I think it will. I think I need to work with Maria and with Nolan. I think it's a longer conversation. Okay. To better understand what we heard on Tuesday and how that squares with this. I just, you know.
Right, because this is not all the TANF money, because we just heard from Rich Donahue that 10% of it is going to childcare. So this is only the TANF that's in ESD?
Correct. So this is just the TANF that's in ESD, which perhaps wasn't what you were looking for. I may have misunderstood that. I thought you wanted ESD's federal funds. But we can get you more information on TANF outside of ESD. We have TANF in FSD, TANF in CDD, and then TANF in our administrative appropriation.
Yeah, there must be a summary sheet of that somewhere that you all would have, possibly,
Maria's working on one.
or Maria's working on.
Well, yeah, yes, we'll continue this conversation.
Okay. Was that Leslie wanting to say something? I can't see her on the screen, so.
No, that wasn't me.
Okay. It's hard to tell when we screen share if somebody's trying to talk, so I can barely see Megan and then I can't see you at all. So at this point, you have no new information on what's happening with any of these programs. We've heard that LIHEAP offices have closed. Is that the only concrete information you have, or do you have anything? John, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is there any monies that we have somewhere for weatherization at all currently? Is there a balance that we can still utilize? Or has it all been expended?
For weatherization?
Yes, LIHEAP, yeah. Under LIHEAP,
So LIHEAP, yeah, so LIHEAP and weatherization are separate portion things. There's a
Right.
portion of LIHEAP that can go towards weatherization. And I would have to get back to you on if we've drawn in all of the weatherization money in LIHEAP or not.
right?
But it is the time of the year where the amount of our, the benefits for fuel are decreasing.
That's not taking time of year, but people are looking to take advantage of that. Perhaps if we had an idea of what might still be around to utilize,
I can get back to you on that.
might be helpful for us.
So LIHEAP has a couple of programs then. It's
Right.
got the weatherization and the typical, what we think of as the home heating energy.
Right.
So we can get both of those, maybe, to see what's been drawn down on both of those. That would be helpful. Okay. What else are we missing? So the summer EBT is what the 5.4 million that's highlighted is highlighted because it's for this coming year. It wasn't around in 20.
It wasn't around in 24, and so we were making some adjustments to try to reflect, reality now. And it felt important to show that on there because it's a large program that supports, families across the state. And we administered it last year, but the funding went out in July, so it didn't actually go out in state fiscal year 24.
Right, okay. And did you have to apply again for this coming year? Or was it an automatic thing that you're supposedly get it?
I'm happy to speak to that. We have to apply every year through a state plan process. Vermont was just approved last Friday. We were the first state in the Northeast region. There were no approvals beginning January 20th with the new federal administration. Everything slows down every time there's a new administration, so they just started up again, and Vermont was approved. We do have to submit a plan every year, though.
Okay. Well, that's good news that got approved.
Yeah.
That's pretty important. Okay. Great. And so at this point, LIHEAP approval would be later for FY26? When does that usually happen? Or is that just an appropriation from the federal government?
I would have to get back to you on the timelines. I think that most of our block grants, we go through our state plan submissions in the summer, so.
Okay. Yeah, well, Congress is supposed to do a lot of things that they don't.
I was the annual budgeting process.
Yeah. So it would be nice to know what the timeline is for Lockheed. Okay, clear. And I understand we got an updated spreadsheet that we can now see that's bigger. I haven't looked at it yet, but thank you very much for resubmitting. I appreciate it. Does the committee have any more questions about any of these programs, how they work? Who's eligible? No? Okay. All right, well, we'll look forward to getting some of the information for the questions that we asked. We appreciate it. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, committee.
I just want
Yeah,
to apologize to the committee for not understanding the tax swap issue better. It is really complicated as it is explained, and I think many of us at the meeting were struggling a little bit to understand kind of how how the TANF program works, what percent is actually paid out in terms of benefits to individuals or families, and what the bulk of it seems to be childcare. And whether that, but way more than say the portion that was spoken about earlier was that block grant. And so there's just a fair amount of being.
Yes, there is, that's true. That's true, and I'm going to continue to work on the digging and we'll work together, yes.
This is Jane Brown.
Temporary assistance to needy families.
You're swapping federal studies, swapping state for federal for state money. You said swap.
Yeah, Maria, do you have
So
a way of
there's
explaining?
a nexus between the earned income tax credit that is available to TANF recipients. And so this is what I need to get more information on. There's a swapping of funds that occurs. And before talking about it in any official capacity, I need to really understand it.
So it's my understanding was swapping it unless they made special rules for this. I thought swapping it some federal money for state money is not legal.
So it's not, it relates to the amount of money that we as a state can consider as our maintenance background. So let me get you more information, and yes, I don't want to misspeak. It's not,
I'm just curious about the mechanism that happens.
Yes. You would be both, yes.
it's
So I wish I
it's not as
understood it better.
transparent as I would like it to be, and it was really difficult to hear. Hard for me at any rate.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
It was the sound quality wasn't there. So I know Chip is on the case and working on it, and a bunch of this TANF is going. One of the things that we're trying to figure out is that 10% we heard going from TANF to childcare, when we now have a payroll tax and we have,
Right.
all this other stuff. And so could TANF better be used in the other areas that TANF can also be used for, if we're sufficiently covering other programs? So that's part of the deeper dive that these guys are working on.
Especially since the rate that families are paid, I mean, the amount that families are receiving a benefit is based on some very old statistics, like the 2001 average contribution to housing made by a typical beneficiary. And I think it's 2001. It has not changed, and it's, I think, something like $190
For housing.
for housing. As part of the benefit, so, and there are different ways, to try to increase that. And ultimately, I just want to see kind of where there may be some flexibility in the TANF, that TANF structure. that we could then consider at some point, down the line to make adjustments, because truly, I mean, 2001 is kind of a useless, benchmark in terms of housing costs, so.
Yeah, does anybody know, maybe Maria or somebody, are people on TANF also receiving subsidies for childcare before we passed all these bills last couple of years? But they were getting some kind of providers were receiving a subsidy for some low income. My understanding it was, you had to be really pretty low income and it was really not very generous, but
Right.
is that tied into any of this?
Well, it may, again, David and I were trying to kind of trace that childcare money to understand, you know, how many families were being served by the money that was dedicated to childcare from the TANF grant, or the TANF block of money, state and federal. So, I'm really hopeful that we'll have a little bit more to share. I admit I've found it kind of confusing, so.
So more to come.
More time.
Okay, so for tomorrow, we are on the floor at 9:30. We'll have S36. Tiff will get her moment of glory with S36. A couple other things, and then we're here at 11 with Vermont Developmental Disabilities Council. At 11:30, the Department of Labor, Commissioner Harrington, maybe we seem to get people just because they're sailing out the door, so I think we're getting him too. I'm not sure what his last day is, probably the end of the month.
He's leaving too?
Yes.
Did I miss that?
Yeah, last week it was announced and
Oh, I'm sorry, I
it's
missed
the end
it.
of the month. It was just in the paper, maybe it's not, maybe it's July, maybe it's July. Oh, we can get it back in more time. Yeah, but this is like at least the third, maybe the fourth person is, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, and so that's before lunch, and then after lunch at 1:00, we have child welfare, which is includes family services and DCF. Oh, Megan, who was here today, will be back tomorrow, and then Emily is gonna come. Our Emily Burns is gonna come in and talk to us about rescissions and what that means and how that works at 1:30, and that's what we'll end on that happy note. I think the last time we did rescissions was in 2009. Sounds about right, Tom?
It's very simple. They take your money.
Kind of budgets.
Just take a zero.
Everybody move 1 0 to the left.